Okay, the title of this video is how to re-caulk a Beckson 5 1/4 inch portlight on a 30-foot sailboat. First you need to get these screws out, and as you can see the screws were too long and they just pinched them, which means they're hard to remove and you can't really reuse them. So go to the store and get some 1 inch 10 by 24 bolts and nuts. And these are metric. That's 10 by 24. 1024x is metric. It's the 24 is the number of turns per centimeter. Yeah, I think so. And the nuts are 10 by 24. I've pre-ordered these two pieces as well. You don't have to replace this piece unless you see a crack. Usually, sometimes the cracks will develop down around here because people tighten these things too much. So if you don't have any cracks, you can just reuse the old one. You have to remove all the old caulk. I ordered new ones just because they're pretty. I don't know. And this is the exterior plate. Now, the old ones have holes drilled through for each of these places, and the new ones you get these screws that are that seat. So then you just basically caulk this thing over the outside, cover the screws up. Now, because there's a these bolts are connected to screws, Phillips screw heads, and so you have to take this glass out, and so you can get the screwdriver on the other side, and then get a wrench on this side. Yeah, put a wrench on one side. Focus. Put a wrench on one side and take a Phillips screwdriver on the other side to remove this clear plate. Once you got the bolts out, it should be pretty easy to remove the lens. Yeah, that's what they call them, lenses. Okay, now everything I'm going to use is here now. The outside cover, and the lens, and the screws I'm going to use, and my silicone, which is here somewhere. These are the tools that I'm going to use to remove the nuts and bolts, hold it with the Phillips outside, and the ones that are hard to reach with this, I'll use the grip. And this is used to lever out the old caulk and pull out the old item. Okay, the last 4 screws at the top have proved too difficult. One thing is that the wrench won't fit over the top of this thing, so I have to use a lock. Okay, and I'm going to go on the outside and use my screwdriver, my electric screwdriver, to open it, and this thing will hold it on the inside. The next trick, let's see, sounds so bright I can't see too well. Where are we at? Okay, well anyway, the next trick is to get this cover plate off. Now it doesn't matter if it breaks because the new one doesn't have the holes in it. Once you got the cover plate off, this thing should push in. There it is. Okay, now I'm going to have to take a scraper and scrape off all the old silicone, and then we'll put in the new one. I just wanted to point out why this thing leaked in the first place. You can see the dirt here, and what happens is the seal is incomplete up here, and the rainwater gets inside there, and the dirt, and it comes down, and wherever you see dirt, there's some dirt over here, and there's some over there, and that's where the leak comes from. It comes from the sides here, and it filters down to the bottom. So you see it leaking out the bottom here. It's actually coming in from the sides. Okay, so the insides. That's also, you can see here now where the leak comes from. It's right in here, and these things have little channels on them. And so it flows down through these little channels. And you can see the silicone just wasn't there. They didn't put much on. Not good, not good. This is a manufacturing problem. Anyway, so the water comes in here and it just leaks out the edges. And most of it comes from right in here. This is where the caulk job was the worst. This one too, you can see dirt around here, which is an indication of the water. Is it coming through that hole there? Oh, it's a nice day. We had a squall come through yesterday, and it cleared up today, just beautiful. Okay. Anyway, so now I have to clean this, and I have to trim the silicone on the inside. You don't have to take all of this off, but you do have to trim it so that when you put new in here, it fills in the little holes. Fills in, and then this is problems. Problems on the sides is really where this problem came from. A vital part of any job is taking a break and enjoying a episode of Foyle's War. Okay, so I bought this kind of a screw. So I bought a countersink, and I'm pushing these in a little bit so that it'll end up, the cover plate will end up flush on here. So the idea here is that the screw goes all the way in flush. So when the panel goes over the top of this, it'll sit hard against the fiberglass. Okay, I've scrubbed all of these things. I cleared the holes. They all had silicone in them. I've cleaned out these. Well, that's not very clean. But anyway, I've cleaned these out as much as I can, and that's the part that really needs to get re-siliconed with this. So I cleaned it out with the Barkeeper's soft scrub, and both sides, and now I'm ready to fit and see if these screws all align with the new piece, the new Portlights piece. Okay, all the holes are aligning pretty well. And please, sometimes when they construct these things, they're in a hurry and they'll just drill the holes with a template, and then it won't quite line up, and then they'll just force it through and cut the plastic piece. But these, this one's good. This one's, all the holes are pretty well lined up. So I had to clear all these holes out because there's silicone inside the holes. So I used the screw just to basically push it in and out till any silicone inside there cleared out. Now let's see. Now I have to go out and I have to prepare my caulk gun. Okay, caulk gun. I bought this earlier today. What is it, $8, something like that. And there's my caulk gun. So I have to snip the cap off, and then I have to start siliconing the heck out of that window. Trick is, okay, so you get it all around these edges. These channels here, these little grooves, they need to be filled. And it's good to have a thing of paper towels handy when you're trying to do this. And So I'm going to caulk this, and then I'm going to go caulk the outside of the boat where the holes are, and then push the screws through with plenty of caulk. At the screw head when it comes through, so that it doesn't leak through the screws and it doesn't leak through these edges. Okay, I got the caulking gun ready. Now I'm going to start caulking this thing. The trick is to, oops, there we go. The trick is to get it all around these holes and then around the edges here. Okay, I've got it caulked pretty good. Now I'm going to go caulk the opening into the boat. And between the two, I'll have a lot of excess, but I'll have a good seal too. Okay, recording. Okay, so now I'm going to... Where am I? Oh, there we go. I'm going to set some silicone in each of these little holes. I push it in. So when the screw goes in there, it's going to get a really good seal. And this is why you need paper towels. And now I'll wipe all this down. You don't really want to put any more caulk on the outside other than getting these holes filled. And I'm overdoing it, but that's good. Okay, now I've wiped off all the excess. Each of the screws has caulk in the thing, so when I stick the screw in there, it's going to seal up against the head of the screw. And now I'm going to go caulk from the inside and get all of these, this area here, all of that squared away from the inside. And then you push the window out from the inside out. And then you come on the outside and you put a bead of caulk around the edges here. Around the edges here. Okay. Okay, my thing's ready to go in. So now I'm going to caulk this here, and just make sure all of this will fit fine. That's no problem. Remember, there'll be a bead of caulk on the outside, and it'll be this, and then there'll be all this caulk in the corner. It's going to squish right up against there, right up against here. So, you know, all I need to do is catch these places here and here, and then it'll be fine. Yeah, see this was just a disaster. That's a disaster, and this is a disaster. The rest of this was okay. And this caulk is what? How old's the boat? 1982? No, 86. 86 to now. So 89, is that 30 years? Yeah, it's 33 years. 33 years. 33 years. This is 33-year-old caulk, and it's just as soft as the day GE made it. Okay. There we go. Now I had to caulk. And of course there'll be lots of excess, but it'll push out. And I'll go outside and wipe it up with a paper towel. Oops, I'm not showing here. Okay, that's enough. There, see that? There. Wow, not too much excess. Better than I usually do. Okay, there's my 10 bolts and my 10 screws, and I'm going to start fitting them through. Actually, I'll just do it while I'm doing this. There. So here comes the first one. There. The last one. That's how they come out. Putting the nuts on these things. It's really a two-hand job because I've got to reach onto the outside and hold it with a screwdriver. As soon as these are plastic lock washers. As soon as it gets down to the plastic part, it sticks. So I need a screwdriver on one hand and a wrench on the other hand to finish this. Anyway, so... And now I have to go outside and put a bead of caulk around this edge right here, this edge right here. I have to go all the way around, and then I can put my exterior plate in. Should be sealed right now. Okay, now I'm going to put a piece of caulk. I'm going to put a bead of caulk around that edge and on all of those screw holes, and then I'm going to put this plate on, and the caulk will act as a glue to hold it on. Cover plate's on. I'm just cleaning up some of the excess here. So this is the old one. I'm going to reuse the rubber seal because these things are stretched and they fit easily. The new ones are just really a bear to get in because you have to stretch them out when they crack on the... There we go. Now I don't put a screen on this one because I can access my my hose right there and fill the water tank from inside. So I don't put a screen on this one because I open it frequently. And that's why I wanted these toggles too, because now it's easy to open and I can refill the water tank from inside. So that works good. And I think this is it now. Now there's a little bit of silicone up there I have to clean up. And then a tiny bit right here. And a tiny bit down here. Yes, a little bit of cleanup. And then put the lens on here. And then I'm done. Okay, now I'm putting on these lens bolts. I'm not used to where the camera is on this camera. May run out of juice, 31% is fine. Oh, I'm lucky. It usually doesn't line up easily. There we go. Yay! And they have plastic bolts for these things. I don't know why. I guess they hold pretty good. Without, you can still move it, and they don't really move. The bolt doesn't really move off from the thing. Okay, now the other one. Okay, now it's just a matter of, so it's too loose. So it's still a little loose. Now it's probably too tight. Let's see. That's about right, actually. We need a good rein to test it. That's still too tight. I think once back. That should be okay. Let's try it. I think we're done. Oh, I'm cleaning the glass. Clean the lens, not the glass. There we go. So let's see, this is Beckson. They're up in Connecticut. They charge an arm and a leg for parts, but they're pretty quick about getting them out. What did this cost? The lens cost, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, I don't know. And yeah, everything costs a lot, just forget it. Screens are 20 bucks. The fascia thing there, that was like 20 bucks. All expensive, but it's a good product. And it's on a lot of boats, so it's on a lot of sailboats. I see it everywhere. Oh, I'm so happy. Okay.